Okay, I know the title of the video sounds wild, right? How can Battlefield 6, a shooter, an online shooter, be the best game of 2025? Especially in a year where we've had games like Kingdom Come 2 and Clair Obscur. And I will grant you, those games might have bigger worlds, they might have better dialogue and richer stories. But you know what they don't have? I love Battlefield, unashamedly so. I remember back in the days when, in like middle school, the Halo versus Call of Duty debates, and I always thought, Battlefield. Not out loud, okay? All my friends were COD kids, so I always, wanted to be cool, so I agreed with them. But inside, my heart belonged to Battlefield. The game with the huge maps where you'd base jump off a 500-meter tall mountain, land in a tank, and, blow up a jet flying through the sky as it strafing runs your friendly soldiers. The insane pitched battles on Operation Metro. The atmosphere of the Grand Bazaar. The huge, epic, fun one. But what about the new game? Okay, fine, I'll stop reminiscing. The new game is fantastic. It has tremendous potential, and that is why I say it could be the best game of 2025. Let me describe for you my experience with the first weekend, the first open beta weekend of Battlefield 6. I played about 20 hours of the game in 3 days, loved every minute of it, unlocked most of the stuff, tried out all the different weapons, or as many as I could, and I thought it was wonderful. And then, after the beta was done, I went on Reddit, and you know that scene, the meme of Community where Donald Glover walks into the apartment with the pizza and everything's on fire? That was my experience with Battlefield 6. I had a blast, and then I go online and everybody's shouting at each other. So what's going on? To get the obvious out of the way, the game looks incredible. This is Battlefield. It's a game that has always, at least partially, put its stake on looking really, really good. And it continues to uphold that trend. It also runs shockingly well. I almost didn't even install this game because my PC is actually below the minimum specs. And remembering how terribly the 2042 beta was optimized, I didn't have high hopes. But I was like, what the heck, I'll try it. And it actually ran really good. On medium settings, I could get pretty good FPS. And sure, it would dip, during moments of lots of explosions and high intensity, but for the most part, actually ran really well. But of course, graphics do not make a game good. The game being good makes the game good, and is Battlefield 6 good? Well, Battlefield 6 is an online shooter. Thus, the most important thing is the shooting. And I'm pleased to report that the shooting is absolutely incredible. This is one of those things that's hard to describe in words in a YouTube video, but it just feels really good and chunky, which is partially helped out by some of the most incredible sound design I've ever heard in a video game. But the guns have a lot of kick and impact. The movement is very smooth, and we'll talk more about that in a minute, don't worry. The vehicle controls are good. I like a lot of the little stuff, too. Things like vaulting animations, all the first-person animations look great. I love the addition of the new revive, where you, drag your teammate backwards a little bit as you revive them. Really cool. It very rarely actually accomplishes anything because it's a slow process. You kind of pick them up and then slowly waddle around with them. But it adds a lot of flavor, you know? It's pretty cool. They've also made a return to the 4-class system: Assault, Engineer, Support, Recon. Just like the old days. Kind of. They've done a little bit of shuffling of the roles and some of the gadgets. For example, Assault now has the respawn beacon, or is going to when the game comes out, allegedly, which is, so Recon's useless. Thank God. That being said, as a support slash assault slash medic main, whichever one has the defibrillators, where the hell is my medic bag? Beta Schmeta, I don't care. I want my band-aid box back. Anyway, yes, support is the supportive class, giving your team health and ammo. You shoot people just as good. The amount of people, like newcomers to the series, who are like, I don't want to play support because it's, you know, support. No, you still shoot people a lot. You just occasionally throw down a health kit for people. Assault is the in-your-face rush class with all the explosives, and now the respawn beacon. I will say, the ability for them to have a shotgun in their back pocket seems a little bit busted, especially with the current size of the maps that we've seen. So that might be worth looking at a little bit, but it's whatever. The Engineer is the vehicle class, all about repairing and destroying vehicles. And Recon, the Sniper class. Although, again, they've removed the respawn beacon from you, so my condolences. So one of the big controversies with the beta is unlocked weapon classes. So, in previous games, every class had set categories of weapons that they could use. So, you know, assault rifles, snipers, SMGs, right? Only certain classes could access certain ones. Like only recons would have access to sniper rifles. Well, everybody can use everything in this game. It kind of breaks the balance of the game a little bit. You've got supports with sniper rifles giving themselves infinite ammo. You've got recons running around with shotguns, just blasting fools. Do you know what your options for a fully automatic weapon as a recon in Battlefield 5 was? The trench carbine. That's it. You had one, and it was a pistol that you slapped a stock on. I actually love the trench carbine. Highly underrated, great weapon. But you get my point. Why have they done this? Probably to sell more skins, let's be real. I don't think there's really any gameplay reason to do this. It just makes the game harder to balance, but such is life, I guess. This is what it is objectively, but my honest opinion, I don't really care that much. For the most part, people tend to stick with the identity of their class. Yeah, most recons snipe. Most assaults use an SMG or an assault rifle, and they rush you. And the classes do have perks and abilities to incentivize you to use certain weapons. So if you actually want to be like a super sweaty meta guy, then you're probably almost always going to use the weapons you're supposed to, and it'll just be the noobs who branch out a lot, and that's fine. They'll be bad anyway. Don't worry about it. Another thing is that, generally speaking, in all of the previous games, every class had access to at least one weapon that did everything. As I mentioned, Battlefield 5, the recons have the trench carbines. Battlefield 1, most classes have good variety in the weapons. Battlefield 4 had entire categories that everybody could use, like the carbines, which were just assault rifles, but called carbines. So I'm rather ambivalent to this change, honestly. I don't love it, but I don't hate it. So let's talk about game modes, and trigger warning here, I have some opinions. There's Conquest, Breakthrough, TDM, Domination, and Rush. Conquest is still Conquest. It's big, hold all the flags, vehicles, long-range encounters, you know the drill. Team Deathmatch, it's Team Deathmatch. Small teams, run around and kill people. Domination is Call of Duty Domination. Small teams, run around, kill people, and also maybe capture the flags if you feel like it. Breakthrough is my personal favorite game mode. It's big teams. Attackers have to push in and capture 1 or 2 points. Then once they've successfully done so, they move on to the next sector and do it again. Defenders have to stop them from doing that. Rush is where attackers have to push in, capture 1 or 2 objectives. Once they do that, they have to move on to the next sector and then repeat. Defenders have to stop them from doing that. Wait a second. Don't Breakthrough and Rush sound like almost exactly the same thing? Well, yes, except there are 2 key differences. First is that instead of capturing and holding a point, which can be retaken by the defenders, the attackers blow up the point, thus getting rid of it permanently. The other distinction is that it is a small team game mode. It is 12v12, and this is the problem that people have with it. You see, back in Battlefield 3 and 4, which people remember very fondly, and rightfully so, great games, but Rush was 32v32. It was a big game mode. And then, in Battlefield 1, they introduced Breakthrough, or I think it was called Operations in that game, and Rush became a small mode, because they didn't want to have Rush and Breakthrough step on each other's toes. And now people are freaking out about that. Where were these people when Battlefield 1 came out? Like, this is one of the weirdest, phenomenon I've ever seen, where nobody cared that Rush was a small team mode for 9 years until today, and then everybody's freaking out. It's so bizarre. I personally think it makes a lot of sense to have Breakthrough be a big team game mode, because it's where you have to, capture and hold a point with lots of players, and Rush, where one guy has to run in and arm or defuse a bomb, should be a smaller game mode. I just think that makes a lot of sense. I know I'm going to get absolutely, flayed alive in the comment section, or there's a good chance of it for this take, but that's just how I feel, man. Speaking of weird takes on the internet, let's talk about the speed. The speed of the game. People are complaining that the game is too fast. Side note, Rush is the most chaotic clusterfuck of a game mode of all time, and they're upset that they're not getting it the same, but whatever. Just for fun, during this section, I'm going to put up some gameplay of me in Battlefield 1, the most revered and most, battlefield of Battlefield games, and I'm just going to be running around mowing people down with a submachine gun to prove a point. Which is that Battlefield has never been some super slow, strategic, tactical, squad-based game. It's not Counter-Strike. It has sped up a bit, don't get me wrong, okay? I'm not saying it hasn't at all. It certainly has. But this is easier. The game is harder to do this in now, because this gun is like an actual laser beam from the hip. And this is a World War I shooter, okay? Battlefield, to me, is chaos. It's big, it's epic, there's explosions going off all over the place, vehicles flying overhead and rolling around, dozens of players all engaged in these huge pitched battles. That is what Battlefield is to me. It's why I've always loved it, not because I want to play Siege. And I know I might get some people who are like, oh, you're just a casual. You haven't played the old I started playing in Battlefield 3 on the Xbox 360, alright? Newsflash, that came out 14 years ago. So, I don't think I'm a casual, and frankly, if you think this game is like Call of Duty, you clearly haven't played Call of Duty in a long time. If you need Adderall for this game, you need, crack cocaine for that game, alright? Something funny I realized is that the movement in this game is actually much less like Call of Duty than the previous game, 2042, where you had the super sprint and the slide. That's Call of Duty movement, but everybody hated that game. The irony is tangible. I think the real problem is the lack of variety in the maps as of right now. Because Battlefield, again, has always had small, fast-paced, chaotic maps. Operation Metro was the most popular map in Battlefield 3, and maybe ever. Operations Locker and Underground as well, very popular maps in their respective games. If you try to play Battlefield 3 now, about 2/3 of all the servers that are still up are TDM on Noshar canals. And they're all in Germany for some reason. But what it's also had is some pretty massive maps that do slow the game down a little bit. Quite a bit sometimes. You could go from Operation Locker to Dragon Pass in Battlefield 4, which Dragon Pass was like the size of something really big, I don't know. There were 4 maps playable in the beta. Siege of Cairo, which is honestly great. I love that map, and I think that seems to be the one that people have the least problems with, aside from the people who like glitched onto the roof. That's kind of obnoxious, and hopefully they'll fix that. But other than that, actually great map. On the smaller side, though, Iberian Offensive is the one that feels the most, I think, like a Call of Duty map, like people are complaining about. It's all like narrow alleyways and very tight building-to-building fighting. There's not a lot of space for vehicles. There's no flying vehicles. I did still enjoy it, but I think it's a lot better for small game team modes, which does, again, lend itself to the Call of Duty comparisons. Liberation Peak seems to be the most divisive one. I enjoyed it. I thought it was really fun on Breakthrough. The first sector was a complete meat grinder, but if you can get past that one, then the map opens up quite a bit, and it's actually a really good time. Conquest was a bit of a mess. I believe it's the sea point, the one that's like basically in a fortress in a narrow pass through the mountain, is like near impregnable, and it is just, it's a very small conquest map. It doesn't feel super great. And then there's Empire State, which I actually liked a lot. I had a great time on this map. And then again, much to my surprise, everybody was crying about it on Reddit. It is another very small map. It is basically one street down the middle and then a couple buildings on either side. I think the layout's really cool. Holding Sea Point is both very difficult, but also very important to winning the game. But again, no vehicles on this map, and very small, very fast-paced, very just tight, I guess. So of the 4 maps that they've shown so far, they're 4 small maps. 2 of them like really small, 2 of them pretty small. But there's good news. I have good news for you. It's a beta. They haven't shown everything yet. There's going to be 9 maps, and 4 of them are small. Of the maps that we haven't seen yet, one of them is Operation Firestorm, which is a returning map, and we know is a big map with lots of vehicles. There you go. Of the 4 maps we know almost nothing about. What we do have is a picture, a single picture, and a brief description. One of them is described as being a small infantry-only map. However, 2 of them have the word massive in the description, and are supposed to be very large map. And then there's Manhattan Bridge, which is the one that I'm not 100% sure about, but it does, I think, from the description, sound big. And especially because the picture and the description, it's obviously the big Manhattan Bridge, but then it mentions building, fighting, so it's got to be at least a section of the city as well. And it says large-scale destruction, which is never a bad thing. So that should also, I believe, be a big map. So that would give us a grand total of 3 big maps, a couple medium maps, and a couple very small maps, which I think sounds like a good variety. They did specifically say that with this beta, they wanted to test the close quarters infantry combat and make sure that was in a good state. And that's what they did. That's what they tested. And they've actually listened. I had already written this whole video, and then this morning they put an update that says they're tweaking the movement in the game. They're going to slow it down a little bit and remove some of the jump spamming and crouch spamming and make it more momentum-based, more Battlefield-esque, if you will. So hooray! This is the most open and communicative I have ever seen. I was going to say Battlefield, but frankly, any EA game, I think. So, good job, DICE. Okay, we'll have to see exactly how the movement changes play out. But, thank you for listening. And, God, I hope this game is good. Please be good. Obviously, I know absolutely nothing about the single player. They're going back to having an actual campaign. which is really cool because I liked the Battlefield 3 and 4 campaigns. So I'm kind of excited for that, and I hope the game is good. I love this series, and I want it to succeed, and at the moment, the top voted comment on the new Call of Duty trailer is, this made me pre-order Battlefield 6. So, you've got the ball, you've got the open 3, you just need to train it, okay? Just don't screw it up, and you can make so much money. I know that's what you care about, okay? Just do it. Alright. So, that's it for me. I don't know what I'm going to do for the next month and a half until the game actually comes out. I'm going to be very sad. But I will also make more YouTube videos, so click subscribe. That was kind of smooth, no? Alright, that's it for me. Goodbye.